What's up, everyone? This is your host, Aaliyah Nichelle. I'm the host and founder of the I'm Breaking Into Tech community and the live series that you all are watching today called Breaking Into Tech, where we feature not only key individuals who've breaking into the tech industry, but we also introduce founders as well as other professionals who may have had a unique journey on how they broke into tech. So if you know anything about me, you know that I do not come from a technical background. I was actually an HR professional for 9 years before I broke into tech myself. I received my first offer as a sales engineer within 5 weeks of my career transition. And then also 4 months later, I received a total of 5 offers, both in the pre-sales, tech sales, and post-sales environment. And I now serve as a solutions architect in the implementation space, also known as the post-sales space. So I speak from experience of not only being someone who broke into the tech industry, but someone who does not have a traditional technical background. So I love bringing on guests and different panelists who can talk about their journey. But I really wanted to do something a little bit different this time. I know you all are used to seeing a live panel of many individuals that can give you actionable tips on how to break into the tech industry, or even founders who can speak about how to utilize their services or any other resources they may have to help you break in. But I also want to bring on key individuals that I've actually built a relationship with, and who who I've helped support within their journey to breaking into the tech industry, whether it be through resources that I've shared on my platform, or just hosting this live series and some of the tips that they've been able to benefit from. So this next individual I want to bring on, or this first individual I want to bring on, is my very first guest. We've become really close friends, and I'm just super overjoyed to bring him on and not only introduce you all to him, but allow you to hear his journey and just the unique things that he did to help himself stand out with breaking into the tech industry. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce you to my good friend, Frank Nunez.
Hey everyone, super excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on your panel, Aaliyah. And yeah, I feel privileged. I'm the first one on here, and we have a lot of gems to talk about. And I'm super excited to let everyone know my tech journey. Every tech
Yeah.
journey is different, and everyone has something to give. So I'm super excited for that.
Yes, Frank. I'm so excited, man. We've been trying to do this for a long time, but our schedules, we broke into the tech industry, or actually started our roles not too far behind each other. I think you might have been coming in. Your month one was my month three, so it's been very difficult with both of us onboarding and getting settled. But we're here now, so I'm super excited. I think it was very appropriate to have you on as the first guest because your story is so unique, and I just can't wait for everyone to learn from you. So I know everyone knows your name, but can you start off by introducing yourself, letting us know what your role is, what industry, and where you reside?
Okay, great. So currently, I am a technical implementation specialist, primarily in the post sales cycle in the ed tech space. Now, ed tech stands for education technology. And it's pretty dope because my background, I actually have a background in ed, in psych, and in childhood education. So I was able to use tech and ed to break into the ed tech space, which works very well. So I'm super excited for that.
Excellent. So what actually motivated you to choose like ed tech, and was this your only offer that you received within your journey?
I actually received another offer in a market that I wasn't really familiar in, like the public sector, throughout my journey. But when I realized at the very end that ed tech was a possibility, because I hadn't really known, I thought that there was a lot of jobs, but I never really honed in on ed tech specifically. Like just all these companies have to be in ed tech. It just so happened to be that an opening came, and I was like, hey, my transferable skills aligned very well. I wanted to become a teacher, a principal, but then fell into tech. Now is this a full circle or what? So let me apply, let me reach out and use the tips that you gave me, and the rest is history.
Excellent. I appreciate the little plug there, Frank. Can you tell us what motivated like what you actually did before tech? Like what was your role before? What career did you have? And then also what motivated this career pivot?
Yeah, good question. So, before I actually broke into the ad tech space, I was a network engineer. I was working at a private IT firm dealing with a multitude of technical issues, whether that be remote or on site support. And that brought a lot of satisfaction with me because being a person that I am, a customer facing, I love customer facing job positions. So during my time in IT, I was able to learn and gain technical aptitude, but also still interact with my end users, my clients. So I was doing that for about 3 years. But then there came a time where I was like, can I do something more? So that's when I started investigating, and I heard about a sales engineer, technical implementation specialist roles in, in a higher sector where you're able to scale. So that's when my, a light bulb just came up, because I was like, I never heard about this. Do you need to go to college? Do you need a certificate? And there's no certificate or no college degree for something like this. So what I started to do, I started to do my research. I did a couple of boot camps. I networked with a lot of people. And then third, and we can get into this in more detail, is like, okay, great. I had technical aptitude. How can I be able to scale into a sales engineer role or technical implementation role? Now, you might hear me say sales engineer role because technically speaking, I am a sales engineer. But the role, it's not so much of the title. It's just the job description just fits perfectly into that. So I was saying, okay, how can I be able to transfer my skills into a role like this? What are the steps that I need to take? And that's where I met Aaliyah, networking through LinkedIn. I reached out to her. I saw her beforehand. I started vetting her out. I was like, okay, is she the real deal? And then I started researching her resume tips, how to reach out to hiring managers, how to network, but not only just reach out to somebody, say, hey, I'm trying to break into the space. Can you give me some advice? Because we're all humans. We have a lot of things to do, but it's how to be intentional about it, how to build rapport with people beforehand, and then gain those tips along the road. So I was able to gain so much insight from Aaliyah and from I'm Breaking Into Tech, with the resume tips on how to reach out to hiring managers. And that literally, those tips there gave me the confidence that I needed, and gave me that jump where my resume was in front of the hiring manager, and the rest is history. Because I was like, okay, I have great personality. I know I have technical aptitude, but where are the leads? How can I attract leads from recruiters or hiring managers? And that's where you came in, and that's where we were able to develop first a personal relationship. It starts, be personable, be human, right? We're not robots. Just reach out to people on a personal level, and then those tips that you gave me just helped me land where I'm at right now.
Well, I appreciate that, Frank. Think you went in on all of the different tips that you were able to take, and all the different steps that you were able to take. But I want to um, rewind a little bit, because something that you talked about with your where you started before. You started as a network engineer. So many people will argue like, "Oh, well, why are you saying that you broke into tech because you was already in tech?" So how can you explain, like, can you explain the difference with that, and why you don't consider that being actually in tech? Do you feel like that's more of a technical support role? And do you feel like that aided in your ability to break into the industry now?
Yeah. So when I think about tech, or what people refer to in LinkedIn, I think about like the SaaS space, corporate, and tech is a whole multitude of stuff. Whether it's in different sectors, from health tech, ed tech, fintech. There's so many technical opportunities that are needed in each market. Rather than IT is just, you could basically compare it from a lion to a tiger. We're under the same kingdom. It's a same species, right? But we're totally different. IT is more of like just providing that end user support, but not a lot of consulting on the end, presentations. There's no demos that you have to do, or reach out to create a lead throughout the sales cycle, that you don't do in IT. And I felt like my personality was more suited for a role in the tech space, as a sales or technical implementation specialist. So that's why I was like, yeah, let me give it a shot.
Okay, so basically you're saying that you don't feel like you were actually in the software space. You were just a support, basically IT. You were a part of IT rather than a software space or the software sales space. And because of that, you don't feel like you were in tech. You felt like you were supporting tech. Is that correct?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Because IT, what I was doing, I wasn't developing or streamlining products or implementing it. I was managing it. And that's what we typically do in IT. We manage network infrastructures.
Now, what was your client base like? Was it B2C? For those who don't know, that's business to customer, or was it B2B, business to business, when you were working as a network engineer?
Yeah, it was B2C,
Okay.
business customers, from a
All
multitude,
right.
from non-for-profits to schools to architect firms.
And what about what you're doing right now as a technical implementation specialist?
Yeah, it's B2B right now. My our primary clients are school districts, because our products are tailored for children from pre-K to second grade, which is kind of dope because I love kids. Uh, and so that's where we're tailoring our product for that type of market.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Frank. It sounds like I know you took a lot of different steps. We talked about so many different things, and I want to make sure I rewind a little bit to kind of touch on some other points you make. It sounds like you did a lot, and I think that can be overwhelming for a lot of people. Like, sounds like you went through a mentorship program, you took a boot camp to get a foundation knowledge. You already have a technical background being a network engineer. So, like, what makes your story so like how can someone follow in your footsteps without actually taking all the steps that you took? What exactly out of the things that you did really was the nail that solidified everything for you and made it feel like, okay, well, I could have just did this rather than doing all those steps? Or do you feel like all of those steps aided into your success?
So that's actually a great question, right? Because my journey started, I wanted to break into the software space of tech in October, and I landed the job, my role now in February. But now looking back, there's definitely ways that I could have been more intentional, right? Because a lot of times you may see certain things and be like, hey, you know what? Let me enroll here. Let me do this. Let me do that. But then when you finally reap the results, you're like, okay, great. Did this really work as much as I needed? Did this really contribute to, my success? And what I came to realize is that since I came from tech, or even if you're not in tech, a lot of times it's just honing in on your transferable skills, understanding what is in your professional experience that you're able to translate into another market, and then looking from there, okay, what do I need to do? Is there any type of skill set that I specifically can learn on the side to then go over the hump? And like with my specific journey is I needed help with my resume. I needed help with learning the game. It's a numbers game out there, right? I needed help. Okay, what is the right approach when contacting a recruiter or a hiring manager? What is the right approach to networking? And that's where I was able to attend Aaliyah's How to Break into Tech, both of their sessions, and I was able to build so much personal relationships with a lot of people in the tech space and gain so much insight. And then I was able to work with Aaliyah one-on-one. Okay, resume, this is how it is now, this is how it is before. And literally after Aaliyah helped me with my resume, I was like, why was I even applying to jobs with my previous resume? Because it was a total difference. And then I started gaining leads from that resume update and the template. It's knowing the game. Okay, I want to hone in on my transferable skills. Yeah, there may be a text, some type of technical product that I need to learn on the side. Okay, but then how can I tailor my resume so that I can gain leads? And that's what I'm breaking into tech did for me. That gave me that leap and shoot me over. I was getting leads after my coaching sessions with Aaliyah, and so that's why I gotta give praise where it's due.
Well, I appreciate that, Frank. I mean, just like I think that you spoke about it, right? You come from a technical background, but of course you don't feel like you were actually in the role that you wanted. So that really was, it sounds like, is what motivated your career pivot, even down to maybe some differences in your requirements as far as like how your schedule was and maybe even salary. So I want to get to the juicy stuff, but I want to really drill back just a little bit. You said that the biggest thing that impacted your transition was realizing what your transferable skills were, and then being able to speak to that in a more clearer manner. And I want to highlight that because I think people will get so lost in the fact that you were a network engineer, then you took a sales engineering boot camp, then you took a a IT or technical sales boot camp, etc. But it sounds like it didn't really, nothing really, happen for you until you and I were able to sit down and really look at your previous resume, discuss a strategy on how you can start to reach out to recruiters and hiring managers, and also change your resume, but also help you, develop the confidence to speak, about those transferable skills with the hiring manager, with the recruiter, etc. So I definitely appreciate you calling that out. But I want everybody to be able to see that even though Frank had a lot of different things that he did beforehand, it's really the biggest thing is just being able to speak to those transferable skills. Because my whole take is you already have these skills. Like that's the get you gotcha that I always say is like we already have a lot of skills that we can contribute to the job market, no matter whether you are going into a sales engineering role, you're going into a consulting role, a project manager, what have you. Especially in the sales industry, whether it be pre-sales, tech sales, or post-sales, where Frank and I are, you already have a lot of transferable skills. It's just a matter of you understanding how to speak to those transferable skills and being able to paint those scenarios that relate directly to the role that you're transitioning to. That is the biggest thing. And then also having that confidence in what you're saying. So something that has helped me tremendously in my journey. Of course, I have an advantage, right? Because I come from a HR background. So though I don't come from a technical background, so to speak, I come from an HR background. So I have been a recruiter before. I've been an project manager. I've been in the space where I'm designing and implementing all of these processes to not only attract talent but retain talent. So I know what hiring managers are typically looking for, and I know those key questions that a recruiter is going to ask, and key questions that you need to ask the recruiter in order for them to feel like you are a candidate that is strong and that really wants the role. Right. So those are things that I love to pass on to friends of mine like Frank and any other individuals that I may have mentored, because I really don't want you to feel like you have to do a lot of boot camps. The biggest benefit of the boot camp is to learn that technical skill, to learn that hard skill. But if you already have some hard skills to learn,
Mhm.
you just have to if you already have some hard skills, then all you need to learn is how to package that up, bottle that up, and sell it. That's it. Those are what we call those transferable skills, and you absolutely have all of those tools with you. So super happy to hear that you said that, Frank. And I want to get to the next part of this interview really quick, and I want to hear like what are some unique things that you did individually to help you stand out. Because I mean, so many people have attended my live series. So many people may have purchased the resume template and all that good stuff, but you had success very, very quickly. And I love also that you said that you had to vet me out for a while before, like you was looking at me for a while. I'm like, I don't know about her. And that's where we connect, because I think we're both, not necessarily skeptical of people, but we just want to make sure that people are the real deal because of the environment that we're in, the industry that we're in. You just don't know when people are being genuine. So I'm glad that you vetted me out and you felt like I was a genuine person. And I could say the same about you, but I want you to really highlight the at least one thing, if you want, if you can go a little bit further, but one thing that you did to help you stand out in the job market.
Oh yeah, and thank you so much. This is definitely what I'm about to say. Before breaking into tech, people would tell me this, but when I actually put it into practice, I was able to reap the benefits. It's being active on LinkedIn, right? My brother, my younger brother, who's also in tech in the fin space, he always told me, be active on LinkedIn, reach out to people. Network is your net worth, right? So that if there's one thing that I would tell people to do is I would say be active on LinkedIn. And I'm not just saying active by just clicking on a like or celebrating. No, what I mean active is start building relationships with people, connect with people on a personal level, view their profiles. If there's anything that they have in common with you or any market that they're in that you would like to gain some insight, but you did your research, right? Reach out to them and send them a voice memo. KJ, one of the panelists that's working with I'm Breaking Into Tech, when I was trying to break into the tech, I sent him. It's so funny how we all came together, but I didn't meet him through Aaliyah. I just met him through LinkedIn. I connected with him. Once we connected, I sent him a voice note, and the rest was history. He was able to give me so much tips free of charge. There's a lot of people that will give you your time as long as they see that there's an initiative, there's an eagerness about you. And that's where you
Exactly.
have to be intentional about it. You can't just be like, hey, Aaliyah, I need help with my resume. Check it out and send her the attachment. No, it's like, hey, Aaliyah, I just attended your break into you're breaking into tech, and you said this one thing that resonated with me, but I'm just kind of skeptical on how can I revamp my resume. Any tips you got? And I guarantee you, Aaliyah will be like, hey, this person was on, and she just quoted me. This sounds like the real deal. So
Exactly.
right, voice memos. And honestly, I was so scared to post in the beginning. Like, I was like, what should I post? What should I do? And sometimes you just got to get those reps in. Get those reps in. Don't worry about how many people like it, how many people are interacting with it, because then sooner than later, one of my last posts got like 6,000 impressions, where I'm just like, man, in November I only had like 30 impressions, and it's
Listen,
just showing up and being consistent.
exactly. And I definitely want to speak to that because I think a lot of people have that fear, but here's my thing. You dropped a lot of gems. And I don't want to, gloss over that. The way that you reach out to people, and I say this on my platforms all the time, and it's not just for me. I'm one of the few people that might be honest about it, um and actually tell you, because I want you to be successful, and I don't make myself so unavailable to people that I can't give that information. um so I want you all to be successful, and I want you to know why other people are not responding to you, right? And the reason is because of what Frank said earlier. Like, you can't just get out here and be like, oh yeah, hey Leah, I need help breaking into tech. And like, first of all, we're not connected on LinkedIn, which we don't have to be, but at least if you're interacting with some things that I've done, I've put out a lot of resources and a lot of stuff. If you just go to my page and go to like the features section and just scroll, you'll see a lot of things. And I even have a link on my page. It's being updated right now. Hopefully it'll be live and ready with new information by the time this video comes out. But that link on my page, right when you come to my page, it will take you to a lot of resources that I've shared before. And I do that intentionally because I have a busy schedule, and I don't like being redundant, but I also want to see that you're taking the initiative and you're doing the research yourself. So something that Frank said at the very beginning was that he did his research. So he did research before he even enrolled in a sales engineering course, before he enrolled in another tech sales boot camp, and before he even reached out to me, he did research. So doing your research is a great foundational step, and it also shows that you have the initiative, and you have the drive, and you have the skills to be successful in a tech sales related role, or a pre-sales or post-sales related role, because a part of this is being able to do your research and being able to speak to the things that you were able to research. You have to speak confidently, because a lot of us are consultants, so you cannot really consult on anything unless you have your market knowledge. So that is why Frank is in the position that he's in now. That's why I'm in a position, is because we do our research, even down to how I tell people to apply to positions. So I always tell people to, don't apply to like hundreds of positions. Like, that's not something that I encourage. Now my journey was very unique. I was not working at the time that I was applying. However, I was not applying to hundreds of positions. People always ask me all the time, Aaliyah, how many positions did you apply to? Because I applied to 3, 4, 500. And I'm like, okay, well, how many interviews did you get? Oh, I didn't get a lot of interviews. Or if I did, like, they weren't really a good company. And I can tell right then and there that they just didn't do their research. Because, and that time, that would make me frustrated as well. You did all of this. You wasted a lot of time applying to so many places blindly, to the point where you're getting burned out. And then when you finally get calls, it's some bogus job, instead of taking the time to sit down and research the industry. Frank knew that he wanted to work in ed tech. For me, I knew the type of software I wanted to work for was HCM software, which is the HR related software, or I wanted to work with project management software, or I could transition to work broadly with general SaaS, or financial software, which is, I work for a SaaS company right now. So it all still worked out. And that was because I knew what my learning curve would be if I went somewhere else. So that's research number one. Research number two is, what type of benefits do they offer? How does that align with the lifestyle I want? Many of us are trying to break into the tech industry for a few different things. It might be, work-life balance, or what I like to call life-work balance, or you might want a salary increase. So with Frank's previous role, if I can remember you telling me correctly, Frank, your previous role, you were you were like, you had some times where you were like on call, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were working either late at night, over the weekend, stuff like that. But what does your schedule look like right now?
Man, I, I don't want to jinx it right now, but it's just so much better. I mean, in this space, it's night and day, honestly, night and day. And this is why, right? Because there are companies that will give you what you need because they want your value. There are companies out there. You just got to vet them out for that. And luckily, with Aaliyah's helping, just gaining that insight, right? Because in the beginning, I can attest, I did the testing A/B. I testing my A section was just applying to 100 jobs. But then it was just like, okay, I gain insight from it. No, be intentional about it. Okay, what is it that I actually would like to be? What are the company values? What is the product? Am I going to be happy? Because I've seen a lot of posts, Aaliyah. There are people that break into spaces and then like 3 months later they get another job and they job hop because they didn't
Exactly.
really like the product or didn't really like the values and they were able to get better income, right? But it was like,
Mhm.
okay, if you are more intentional about it in the beginning and you know exactly what you want, you know your value, there is a company out there that will fit exactly those needs. And not to hound on job hopping, I understand exactly what that is, but just be when you're intentional about it, I'm pretty confident that you can find a company that will give you so much value because they want your value. It's not only you interviewing them interviewing you. You have to interview them. You have to see
Exactly.
diversity. You got to see, the life work balance, like Aaliyah said. You got to see the pay and test it out with different markets. Well, there was one company that was paying me, that offered me, not to name names, that offered me a certain thing that was below market level. But then this company that I'm at, they offered me more than their minimum. And that just showed me, wow, their salary, they went over their salary minimum requirements on their job description just for me. And now seeing it and being 2 months into it and just seeing the whole vibes and Frank, you're great, Frank, this shouting me out and all of that just boosts my confidence so much. And that it brings me back to like, wow, thank the Lord that I was able to, take that leap of faith, revamp, connect with Aaliyah, connect with people, like-minded people that have the same goal and want to see other people win. So that's what I can say about that.
Yeah, Frank. So let's tell the people what they want to hear. Like, how much did you increase your salary from your previous career? Now, again, you are a network engineer, and now you are a technical implementation specialist. Now, what
Yeah.
was your salary increase? Give us the numbers. You don't got to give us your actual salary, but just give us the number of how much it increased.
Oh, well, I could give you the number. I was, as an IT, I was making less than six figures. And now that I'm into this role, I'm making a little over six figures. And, doing the plus and minus, now that I'm thinking about it, it was definitely, I have a 30,000 to 40,000 increase, right? Minus the bonus that I received in IT and stuff, just plain on base salary. I'm talking about no bonus, just base salary. My income increased 40,000.
Ooh, child. See, you doing better than me. I didn't get no 40,000. I was close to it though, as far as like the increase. I'm talking about base salary
Yeah,
wise.
just base salary,
That
40,000.
is phenomenal. So that is phenomenal. I was thinking that it was 30,000 before when we were discussing, but regardless of the fact, that's amazing. And you talked about it. Like there, we always hear people talk about job hopping, but again, I think is the job hopping thing is it's I support job hopping to an extent, right? I don't
Of
think you
course.
should stay on any job for more than maybe like 2 years if you're going to be in the same role. If they're not, if you don't see any progress or you're able to scale up your career past that point, they're only going to get like a 1 or 2% salary increase anyway. If your goal is to reach a certain threshold when it comes to your salary or just a certain title or learn a certain skill set, then yes, job hopping is a great thing to do. But I think that you are if we're speaking about sales engineering roles and
Mhm.
technical implementation roles or solutions architecture roles, those are the more, in my opinion, these are not entry level roles.
No.
These are mid-level roles. They're, mid-career roles. So that means that you have to have, in order to be successful, you have to have a career beforehand.
Hmm.
That is the big difference between, an entry level role like a sales development
Yeah,
representative, where you don't
exactly.
have to have a career beforehand, versus a role like a sales engineer, a
Hmm.
technical implementation specialist, a solutions architect. If
Hmm.
you look at the track record of a lot of people who may have broken into this industry, they may have had a career beforehand. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it had to be like a white collar career, but a career nonetheless. They had to have some skills again to transfer, like to speak
Hmm.
to, because in a tech sales space, you can learn those very easily, but it is a phenomenal entry level job. Like if I would have known about tech sales when I was younger, rather than being a lifeguard, I probably still would have been a lifeguard for a little bit, but that would have been like my initial jump, is to be like a technical sales or sales development representative,
Hey,
because you don't have to have a career or a background to get into it. And you can make some good money. But if you actually have a career or had a career, this is the best next step, which is to be a sales engineer or some type of consultant in a software space, or a technical implementation specialist, an implementation specialist, a solutions architect, a value engineer, what have you. Um, and that's why like our base salaries tend to be a little bit higher. But another thing is, like, I wanted to call out, without like throwing everything out there, like when we were discussing Frank's offers that he had on the table. We were going through, he was asking me like, Aaliyah, what do you think I should do? Should I go over here? I really like these individuals, or should I go over here? I really like these individuals. But I have some concerns about, traveling possibly, or I have concerns about this. And I was like, well, Frank, you know, if you have those concerns, bring those concerns up. Bring those concerns up, and then also evaluate what lifestyle you want to live. Because my fear for you is that you get into a role and you psych yourself out of another role, or you end up having a lower salary than you wanted. And then you're one of the many individuals who's hopping jobs in the first 2 to 3 months and you never learned anything. I
hmm.
personally am on my going into my fourth month. I think it's my fourth month at my job, in totality, and I feel like I'm just starting to learn some stuff. So I could only imagine if I would have left my job at month 2 or 3 and moved to somewhere else and I had to start again. This is not one of those jobs, or those careers rather, that you can job hop and actually learn stuff. At least not in the post sales environment. Maybe in a pre sales environment, because you're primarily doing a lot of you're just doing a lot of demos. Um,
And a lot of discovery calls
Yep,
and
and a
stuff.
lot of discovery calls, and that's something that you could, take from job to job. But actually being in the
Hmm.
implementation space, where you have to learn the software, you have to learn the technology. Not only are you doing the demos, but you're building out this solution, and you're presenting it to the customer, and you're designing it for them. You have to know the ins and outs, the bells and whistles of that particular software. There's absolutely no way you're going to learn that in the first 2 to 3 months. I will be surprised if I'm a SME, or subject matter expert, by month 6. So my advice for people that are trying to transition into this space is slow down. Don't throw spaghetti at the wall, because you're not going to get you will get some offers. Yes, I'm not going to say you're not, but you're not going to get the quality of offers that you did before. Like, I tell people all the time that I did have over 20 interviews. I did make it to 7 final rounds, and I did have 5 interviews, 5 offers, excuse me. And out of those 5 offers, my top two, the decision really came with, honestly, how the team environment, where I felt like I was going to be able to grow the most, and also how structured their onboarding was, because I knew I was going to have a learning curve. And when I don't know something, I get like aggravated with myself, and I don't want to be like at that point where I'm like, I don't know nothing, and I'm one of those people who just ready to job hop. I wanted to be in an environment where I felt like I was going to be supported. So that's really what helped motivate mine. Salary wise, they were a lot different. I will say that. um and I was able to negotiate a sign-on bonus, and one sign-on bonus was bigger than the other, but because the salary was a little bit lower than the other one, it kind of it made sense at the end which one I ended up choosing. So I said all that to say, doing your research will give you more confidence going into these interviews, and also going into the offers, negotiating, and then it will also give you that confidence to say like, hey, whew, I can. That's a load off my shoulders. I can take this role, and I can see myself staying here for 12 to 18 months, learning the solution. I already feel like I came in at a great salary. I know I'm going to kill it. I know I'm going to get my bonuses at the end of every quarter. no sweat off my brow. If another company comes into my inbox, which they do, I'm sure his company's calling Frank right now, because his LinkedIn is fire. I have a phone, a separate phone number for my personal phone number, and that inbox is full. I have to clean it out all the time because companies still call me. So it's going to happen. You're going to get those calls, but you
Yeah.
won't be as tempted to leave if you have done the research on the front end to make sure that you're making a great decision. So definitely wanted to call that out. But this has been a great interview with you so far, Frank. Again, I'm glad that you came on. Like, you're my first guest. I think that's super, dope that you were willing to come on and talk to me. And then also, I feel honored to that you say that I was a part of a really big part of your journey, especially because you went through so many other well-known platforms to try to get into the space that you are now. But just knowing that I was the final puzzle piece
Definitely.
to kind of help you get to that next level is something that I truly am happy to that you say, I'm honored. But in closing, I want you to just give our audience maybe one or two tips that they can take home with them, and how they can successfully break into the industry, and then also give them a free resource that you can think of that helped you break in.
Okay, great. So a couple of tips, and I'm gonna narrow down. Uh, my journey was to find a sales engineer role or any type of technical specialist role throughout the sales cycle. Now, if that is your journey as well, what I would do is, yes, connect on LinkedIn, connect with individuals within that job description, connect with them on a personal level. But what you have to do is find your market, right? Uh, I'm breaking into tech has a lot of resources. It will help you hone in onto what experiences you had in the past and how can it translate it. And then if there's a specific market that you have, because this is not an entry level, there is a need for technical aptitude. It's not just soft skills. It is a hand in hand of soft skills and tech skills. Yes, you're going to see posts on LinkedIn about, oh, I'd rather have soft skills. But when you start applying, there's going to be a stage in the interview where you have to display a sense of technical aptitude, of understanding in tech. And so once
Exactly.
you find that market and you understand, well, they're using SQL, they're on Python, they're on APIs, they're using RPA. Okay, what are the free resources that I can find, or what are the resources on YouTube to then that can lead me to a course that Udemy has, or someone on YouTube? There's so much beginner courses and all of these applications you can easily install on your computer. It's just holding yourself accountable. Sometimes when there's not a strict schedule to meet a level or gain that skill that you need, sometimes you can slack. No, hold yourself accountable and understand that this is the type of tech I need to learn and have a great understanding so that it can help me break into tech. And if you have the soft skills, great, but you also have to hone in on the tech skills. Now, if you're entering into tech as a tech sales, like Aaliyah said, there's a lot of entry level, and there's tons of boot camps that can help you out with entry level to gain into tech sales. If I knew about tech sales beforehand, I would have, to be very honest with everyone, I wouldn't have went to school, wouldn't have went to college. I would have went to a boot camp for tech sales and
Facts.
literally broke into that. Because honestly, you can grow so much. But if you already had a professional skill and you're even trying to transfer into a customer success manager, there's a lot of resources. But I highly recommend you checking out on breaking into tech, looking at those resources. There's a ton of resources on resume template, how to reach out to hiring managers. I literally use exactly what Aaliyah told me: reach out on Sunday because Monday they're gonna review it. I did that. I got a lead the next day. So it honestly works. Check out I'm breaking into tech. Check out those resources. Look at those resources. Attend networking events. Why? Because you're going to be around people who are like-minded, and you're going to slowly realize, is this for me? Is this something that I want to do? Is this something that I can see myself doing? Go to these network events, whether it's virtual or on-site, and that'll help you have that understanding of it. And then lastly, what I would say is be confident, be yourself. Honestly, you don't have to fake it till you make it. No, be yourself, show up, because a lot of it is just showing up, being yourself, showing who you truly are and your eagerness and your passion. And I believe with all of that, it will lead you in the direction that you will see growth. You may not see an offer right away, but you're going to see growth that's going to build that confidence to say, wow, I'm growing. Sooner than later, I'm going to get an opportunity.
Love that, Frank. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of those things that you said. And I agree with everything. I 100% agree with everything. I think that the biggest takeaway I would say is not only make sure that you are following our page and our resources that we provide, but also implementing them in the correct order.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just feel like just because you've seen a live that you need to slide into one of the panelists' inboxes or mine unprepared or ill prepared. Make sure you do exactly what Frank said at the beginning and provide and let us know that you have done your research, providing that value to us. It's an even exchange. And then also making sure that you're honing in on a technical skill. I always tell people you don't have to be all over the place with all of the different technical skills that you want to learn. Just choose one. Choose one, choose an industry, focus on a company. If you have a company that you really want to work for, an industry, and you know that they particularly want their people to know Python, then maybe that's something that you need to learn. You can get on YouTube University. A lot of there's a lot of videos that can teach you that, and there's a lot of different free platforms. But a part of being successful in this space is just doing your research. But again, if you're coming from a space where you don't really have a lot of transferable skills, you never really had a career before, I would encourage you all to go the tech sales route. You're still going to make like whoo child, I wish
Yeah.
you are still going to make a really good income. Like entry level, you're making a base pay between what 60 to 70,000, and your OTE or your on target earnings is 80 to 100,000. Like phenomenal. Like if I was coming out of high school or even college, I would like Frank said, I wouldn't have went to college. I wouldn't have went to college. I would have just did that, because even when I started my first career in HR, I wasn't even making no 60,000. I was barely making 40,000. Like I was,
I was making
I was
around 30.
stressed.
My first professional experience, I was making around 30. I was stressed.
listen,
I was like,
listen.
whoa.
I was feeling good because I was like, oh yeah, I'm making like I think my salary was like what 38 something something. It wasn't even 40,000. Like I was struggling. But I mean back then it wasn't terrible, but now that would have been very difficult. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, but at the end of the day, like there's so many different careers that are out there. Our goal with this platform is just to provide you exposure. Now, Frank, can you please tell us, or tell the individuals what you have up your sleeve next, like, and how can they reach out to you? Will you be offering any like mentorships, or how can people get in touch with you?
Well, as of right now, uh, my main focus is being an expert in my current role right now, but I am free to any DMs, any messaging through LinkedIn. There's so many people that already have contacted me from even breaking into the space where I can see their eagerness, and I was able to look at their resumes, and with Aaliyah's, that knowledge that was poured into me, I'm like, oh, this, and hearing some great news, or even giving some type of tips that I was able to see results and reap those benefits when I was trying to break into tech. So feel free, anyone, to reach me in LinkedIn, send me a message, and I would gladly reply.
All right, I appreciate that, Frank. Frank said he's working, so he'll answer when he can. But I appreciate you being open to all of the individuals who may reach out to you. This is not the last time y'all gonna see Frank. Like we haven't met in person yet, but we have plans to do so. And
Yeah.
I'm very much a person that loves to network in person. So we are going to do that. We're both on the East Coast. I'm in North Carolina, and he's in New York. He
Yeah.
travels for his job. I do a little bit of travel for mine, but it's not as much or as frequent as Frank does. So hopefully on his next implementation, we can try to swing something. But super super excited to have you here, Frank. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your journey and for sharing your testimony with me. All right, take care.